Today me and Rosie are going to go through the top 3 stretches for the press handstand. Now number 1 is the seated straddle good morning, so sitting in this position. Now I started my journey to press handstand at 37 years old and I looked like this. So I couldn't sit in the position, and that's how most people are when they start the journey to the press. So before we start stretching this position, we need to assess this position and see how we need to set it up. So if you do look like I did back then, and you look like this position, what we want to do is we need to raise the hips up, and it might be raising the hips up right up onto a box, which is pretty high. If you are still tight there and you can't get a flat back, we might even need to bend the knees a little bit as well. So once you've got your position sorted where you can just lean forwards a little bit and keep that flat back, then we're just going to work on the good morning part, so the open and closing of the hip. So what I want to try and do is just keep the back flat and lean as far forwards as you can, and then come back up again. And so let's do 5 repetitions there. I'm trying to lengthen the spine as I do it, so I'm reaching away with the elbows. So 5 reps there, reaching as far as you can away. And then we've got a choice. If that feels okay, we can then start to add a little bit of rounding as well. So I'm going to go as far as I can with a flat back, then I'm going to round the back, and then I'm going to come back out of the round and then come back up with a flat back. Now once that feels comfortable, we can get some good depth on that, we can start to load it. We can either have a plate in front of us and have the plate pull us, or we could put the plate on our back. Now we have to be a little bit careful with the plate on the back. You need to make sure that your hips can take that intensity. So obviously test it with a lighter weight first, see how you feel the next day, and listen to your body and don't go too crazy with it. Now I'm pretty comfortable in this position. I can put a 20 kilo on my back and do repetitions there and get the belly button to the floor and open and close. And I feel fine after that. I don't even get sore anymore, but I've done that for the last 7 or 8 years quite frequently. Then the second exercise is the straddle good morning, but the standing version. So now I'm just going to stand with my feet just a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. And I'm going to do the same thing as we've done with the other one. I'm going to see how far I can go down, keeping this slight lumbar curve or keeping a flat back. Go as far as I can, and then come back up again. Now it's worth playing with distances with the feet. So I can even bring the feet together, so make it more like a standard good morning, so not a straddle. See how far down I go. Functional range here is seen to be 90 degrees at the hip, but obviously if we're gonna go towards press handstands, we wanna start lifting the feet off the floor. We wanna try and get beyond that, so lengthening through the hamstring. But that's where the third exercise comes in. So let's stick with the straddle on this one for the time being. So there I'm gonna go a little bit wider with the feet and start to play with that flat back position. So coming down as far as I can. We could come to a target with this. Have someone in front of you that you kiss, and then come back up again. If that feels okay, obviously decrease the target so you can get head touch the floor, making sure you open the hip fully at the top. Then you can push it further and go to nose, to chin. So I'm a big fan of this active conditioning for the hips. So we're not just using flexibility to increase the ranges. We're trying to create some strength and conditioning around the hip as well. That's really going to help us for skills like press handstand. So even though I can do all the presses, I'm still actively doing this stretching in my sessions. So the other day at the gym, I trained this in a superset. So I done handstand push-up variations, pull-ups, trying to do explosive pull-ups, supersetted with the standing straddle good mornings, the seated straddle good mornings, and I was also working some head to toe in that position as well. And then the third one is the Jefferson Curl. Then with the Jefferson Curl, we're going to start off moving the spine. So I'm going to bring the chin to the chest. I'm going to roll down through the upper back, through the mid back, through down to the low back. The low back on me is the bit that doesn't want to move so much. I'm then going to lock the knees backwards, and I'm just going to go down as far as I can towards the floor. Now you see how I've hit the floor? So when I hit the floor, I want to raise the feet up so I can keep going beyond that to my maximum depth. Then I'm going to bend the knees, come back up through the spine. Nice tall position at the top. And then repeat the process on the way back down. Try and get a little bit further on that next rep. So I either like working to a target, so here I'm trying to touch the floor, or if I feel comfortable with it, I'm going to add a load. I prefer barbell because you can keep it close to your legs. So they're the top 3 that I use myself and I use with clients to work towards the press handstand. They're not the only ones I use. I pull in some other ones and do variations of those. But I definitely recommend that you play with those if you're working towards the press handstand or if you're looking to clean up the press that you already have. Check out my website, www.paultwyman.com.au, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.